Sunday Diary. City is immediate planning, monitoring, and immediate left is owner is Mr. Nelson.
My mom, my brother, my friend, comrade Phillips, attorney at law, Mr. Directors, Deputy Directors, Edo State here present. Let me also recognize the members of the board present. Thank you for the visibility you've given us. In the past, I have witnessed so much planning about focus on sports in this country, which we are facing several back and forth in the midst of uncertainties, and we had a brief meeting. I say on the grounds of the Aston Villa presidency shortly after I met with Mr. President Sports Festival. It was exactly 1 year yesterday. And we have been through a lot in the last 1 year. You will agree. The state has been through a lot. We're glad that state and that your agenda for development has identified with good governance, a government that is rooted in it. And to that extent, you have my support. But also that support that we given to keep as a show. That show is the show that had government. And just 5 days to the commencement of Edo was set, the pandemic broke out. I'm glad to say that sports took the first hit to take the right decision. Eventually, every other part of the national life followed. Thus far, 1 year down the road, we have opening up and going on across the world and in our country. And on our part, the government, we have not relented in trying to see how we can restart the festival. Has been gone whole in making sure that we can get this started. We've had some twists of making sure that we bring about the sports festival tagged Edo 2020.
May I now spend
series of qualifiers that will take us to the Olympics. So I thank you most sincerely for this. My brother, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, Your Excellency, comrade without arms, the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Comrade Phillips, the Secretary to the State Government, ESQ, Esquire, Attorney at Law, Mr. Osaradan Ogie, members of the Local Organizing Committee, LOC, directors, deputy directors from the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, and I don't know, but members from the Cabinet, Edo State, here present, ladies and gentlemen. Let me also recognize Dr. Kweku, who has piloted the Sports Commission in Lagos before and done creditably well. And he has been part of this journey. Let me also recognize the members of the fourth estate of the room, which is the media. I'm proud to have been a member of the fourth estate. I remain proud that I'm still a member, because once a soldier, always a soldier. I thank you for the visibility you've given us as a ministry, as a government. Thank you for the visibility you brought upon the National Sports Festival, because there's no time in the past that we've witnessed so much clamor for the National Sports Festival. But also it has resonated across the length and breadth of this country that we have such a festival focused on sports in this country, which we have christened our own Olympics. Your Excellency, my visit this afternoon is a culmination of efforts, most of them spirited, several meetings, several back and forths in the midst of uncertainties that I have come to say we're at a point in which we believe there's a silver lining. Recall yesterday when I met you, Your Excellency, and the Deputy Governor, and we had a brief meeting. I said the meeting yesterday in the evening was indeed historic. I recall telling you that yesterday marked exactly 1 year when we unfortunately, on the grounds of the Aso Villa and the presidency, shortly after I met with Mr. President and the health minister, myself and the health minister met with Mr. President, we had to announce the indefinite postponement of the National Sports Festival. It was exactly 1 year yesterday. And I said, for whatever reason and for whatever cause, I didn't know until I got on the plane that it was exactly 1 year. I felt that things were moving back in our favor. We have been through a lot in the last 1 year as a country, even globally with the pandemic, but even as a state. Edo State has been through a lot. We're glad that we remain in our places. We're glad that you remain in the leadership of this great state, and that your agenda for development continues to unfold. On my part, I identify with good governance, a government that is rooted in ensuring that the mass of our people are empowered, lifted out of poverty in line with Mr. President's vision. And to that extent, you have my support. But also that support extends to my mandate area, the shop I've been given to keep as a shopkeeper by Mr. President. And that shop is the shop that has over 75 million of our youth across the length and breadth of this country. The National Sports Festival, which holds every 2 years, has about 14,000 on the average of our youth from 36 lined up to participate in different sporting activities. And that is why we have committedly worked with Edo State government, and just 5 days to the commencement, just barely 5 days, at the doorstep, everything was set. The pandemic broke out. I'm glad to say that sports took the first hit by shutting down, but also we were bold enough in the sporting arena to take the right decision. Eventually, every other part of the national life followed through and it was a timely decision that was taken. Thus far, 1 year down the road, we've had the opening up, the lockdown is over, contact sports is back, non-contact sport is back. We also thank God that now we have the vaccination going on across the world and in our country. And on our part, working with the Edo State government, we have not relented in trying to see how we can restart the 20th Sports Festival. And that speaks to the reason why I'm here today. Let me upfront again thank the governor, because we've had several meetings with him. Let me also thank the deputy governor, who has been gung-ho in making sure that we can get this started. We've had some twists and turns. We've had 2 to 3 points of making sure that we bring about the sports festival tagged Edo 2020. Even though we're in 2021, that tag will not change. Your Excellencies, I will not regale this assembly with what has brought us to this point, but sufficient to say that, Mr. Governor, you have been committed. We've been in Abuja at the villa. Your deputy has been the boot on the ground, and we're set to sail. When there are postponements like this, whether it's a sports festival, whether it's a political event, whether it's a social event, once there are postponements, there are costs and even sometimes human implications. With regard to the sports festival, on the part of the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, we have had to deal with cost implications. The Edo State government has also found itself in that same position. And having presented its case very clearly, the ministry, as promised, kept to that promise and went ahead to intimate the presidency, the federal government, about the importance of the sports festival to our youth and sports development, about the fact that Edo State was all set to host it, about the fact that because of the implications therefrom, from postponement, financial support will be needed to carry on, not just for Edo State government alone, but also for the ministry. Made that case very strongly and very clearly to the federal government. And Your Excellency, I have briefed you. The federal government is ready and willing to provide financial support. The processes are ongoing. Sometimes it takes time. The processes are ongoing. It is our hope, it's our desire, and I believe, because as soon as I'm done, I leave Benin this evening back to Abuja to make sure that we follow through and we can hasten the process. Because we're sure of that process ongoing, we have also now decided, working with the Deputy Governor who you assigned and who also heads the LOC, to convey to all the governors and all the state sports commission that April 2nd, the camp for the sports festival will open. And that on April 6th, the official opening of the festival by Mr. President will also take place. But beyond that, we also are working closely with the PDF, the PTF, with, of course, inclusive of the NCDC and others, to make sure that the necessary support that will be needed in terms of vaccination, our athletes have been promised that vaccinations will be available, test kits, etc. We've also toned down the number from 14,000 to 8,000 athletes that will come. But most importantly, and I must thank the Deputy Governor for taking the lead on this, we've been able to get the University of Benin to host our athletes. So we're looking at a calendar 2nd to April 14th for Edo 2020. There's still some work here to be done, which will not be in the radar. It will be for the men on this side to make sure that some of these things are put in place. Your Excellency, I must say that before we called off and postponed the festival last year, the entire country and the sports world had been regaled by the dexterity that was displayed by the Edo government in revamping the sports infrastructure in your state. It resonated across the country, and even our athletes were so excited that they will be coming here to compete. 1 year down the road, we are convinced that that opportunity is not lost, and that if we have, counting on the support we have received so far, that the Edo State government, working with the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, can make Edo 2020 National Sports Festival come alive. So once again, Your Excellencies, I'd actually planned to speak for 2 minutes. I'm sure I've not exceeded my 2 minutes time. I thank you for listening, and I'm glad to be here this morning. Thank you.
The Secretary to the Government of Edo State, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Youth and Sports, members of the Edo 2020 Local Organizing Committee, I want to thank and welcome our brother and friend, the Honorable Minister for Sports, Basharun Sunday Dare, and members of his team who have come in to Edo this morning. Like you said, it's quite fortuitous that almost exactly 1 year ago, I was on March 19th last year, we unfortunately had to postpone the Edo 2020 National Sports Festival, the 20th edition of the National Sports Festival, due to the outbreak of COVID-19. It was quite challenging. It was quite disruptive for us, given the ramp up and all the preparations that we had made and the resources we had committed. In fact, we're just barely 10 days to the opening of what should have been the opening of the festival. The vendors had been committed. A lot of work had gone into revamping the infrastructure for the festival. But that is history now. COVID came, and it's been one of the most destructive events of mankind this century. But our spirits cannot be broken. We're not daunted. We still believe that we should hold the sports festival. It is the right thing to do. The world, in spite of COVID, will be going for the Olympics this year. And it's important that Nigeria participates in this year's Olympics. Yes, the Olympics suffered the same fate. It had to be postponed. And because we will have to join the rest of the world in the Olympics, we cannot and should not be cowed or defeated because of a pandemic. I believe that spirit, it's in that spirit we are joining staff sports to say that we support that the Sports Festival Edo 2020 should still take place despite it's COVID. Fortunately, from the data and reports we are getting, we are winning the war against this pandemic. For the first time during this second wave, we did not report or record any incident of COVID yesterday in Edo State. This has been a pattern. We've seen infection rates going down, despite us still testing, doing a lot of testing. And we are pretty confident that with the vaccines now available. I have taken mine. I mean, there's nothing to spend a lot of money in preparing the infrastructure for the games. They are ready. We will use the opportunity of you being here to just go and view a few of them to see their state of readiness. However, we will be hosting, as you said, up to 8,000 athletes, and approximately 10,000 people within a 10-day period. There are clearly, going to be expenses related to just that hosting, and that is really the cost, the large portion of the cost of any games. Yes, while we will, strain ourselves, we'll stretch to provide some of the support, but we will be very open that we do not have all of the money to fund, to host the athletes while they are here within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So it is important that the government comes through with its commitment before the games open. We will go ahead working with you to prepare the venues, to do all the things we need to do. We're very grateful to the authorities of the University of Benin and authorities of a few other institutions that are going to be giving us their spaces to accommodate athletes. We are also grateful to well-meaning and patriotic Nigerians and companies who have committed to support in one form or another. But we just hope that in order for this to work, for it to happen, that the federal government will come through with its own commitment so that we can have a successful games. I would not like athletes to come to Edo and we are not able to feed them 3 square meals while they are here. So, Mr. Honorable Minister, I want to thank you and reassure you that by the grace of the games will hold on the start. I have no reason to doubt the federal government. Once the federal government commits, I know the sort of president we have is a man of his words. And once the federal government has committed, the president has committed, I am sure that he will, the federal government officials to do what they are expected to do. So we are on that basis, on the confidence we have in our president and in you, that the federal government will come through with its own portions. We will go ahead from now to begin to make the preparations to host Edo 2020 commencing April 2nd. I want to thank you and welcome you once again to Edo, your second home.
Before that, I know that I'm breaking protocol. Some response to the qualifying series or the qualifiers that will take us. We have the benefit of the sport. What's your size? I'm waiting for my own.
I don't know about size.
You zip it.
I'll stay in the middle.
Okay.
Just a little to bring it downstairs.
Just a little space.
You still take it later.
Yes.
Excellency, 2 minutes, they will bring back.
Allow them enter first now.
Taking all the spots.
Yes.
Quality of this tank. No, I want media people to talk to Mary about it.
This is one of the fastest one in this country right now. It has a beast in as a one that can host everything here apart from the Olympic Games. You can do regional games. Okay. This is one of the best track right now in this country. Two things. It has a B certification, meaning that you can host anything here apart from the Olympic Games. You can do African Games, Commonwealth Games, and be hosted here. We also have a rail around it, and these rails are removable. In case there's a, what you call a speed camera, many will know that they go along the rail. That means the athletes will run on the shortest course of a track, which is 398 meters, but actually measured at 400 meters because there's no way that you will be running here. You will run here, that makes it 400 meters. And these have been measured and been certified by World Athletics. All we're just waiting for now just to give us the nod that Edo State is bidding for Commonwealth Games to be accepted.
That's why we're camping our Olympic band.
Any record set here, you don't have to refer to anybody, it's a record. No ratification, it is a record. So that is why we have top notch. This is the best track, and it is called a record time. It's 25 years lifespan. As long as we keep watching it and relying on it. 25 years is good as this. So, the 2 meters or 6 feet apart, where people will sit. It's marked. And it is marked, clearly marked there, so you see the numbers.
How many sports will now be done here? It is gone. How many sports will be done?
We have 3. We have the football. We have the para, the deaf, and the one of the big sports.
Okay. What about
all the 3 events are all. We have a warm-up track. You can quickly do a sprint here before they go in. It's the same surface because the rule says you must provide the sprinting area the same surface as the one inside. So we have it. You can quickly sprint. Victor. Okay. So here's
I'm here.
Okay. Being that American countries are coming for qualifying, I think that just come here qualify. How would you do it? 2.24. Copy from wow.
Mau betul. Tak. Saya send.
Where we go on the number, so to be here and the bar will be here. So they were catching positions from all the roads.
All the equipment.
at what point do you start installing? I mean, putting them ready.
A week to the event, we will start installing. But it will take about 2 days to finish.
The equipment have been here 6 months.
Thank you.
Tem Smith, não?
Fill it and polish it.
Yeah, we're going to fill it.
This is the MOC and cafeteria. This whole complex. You have something like this. Also, conference. This will be for the delegates every night. Yes, that's we are using the other school. But we said after the festival.
Meeting with the Everyone see yourself. I
From today, very clear that this is a world-class facility that is ready to host a world-class sporting event. You can see every sport that's listed for the festival has been provided for, and not just in name, tried to ensure that the quality of the infrastructure for that particular sport is world class. Whether it's javelin, it's discus, whether it's gymnastics, weightlifting, or tennis, or the squash courts that you have seen. I mean, these are all facilities that match whatever you have anywhere in the world. So we are ready. The infrastructure is ready. The accommodation is ready. All we need just the funding to host and feed and move the athletes around when they come in.
Thank you. Mr. Minister, sir, having inspected these facilities, are there any areas you want to improve on?
Well, I think that I could not ask for more. Our sportsmen and women could not ask for a better facility than what we have here at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Edo State. What excites most athletes is the facility and the equipment. What we have here is comparable to anyone you can find in the world, global standard. And what we've seen here is a revamp that we've never seen before. We have a model here. It sets the standard. It raises the bar for any other state that wants to revamp its sporting facilities. So I'm satisfied with what I've seen here today. Most of our sportsmen and women will be happy to compete here. They will sell world records. They will set new PBs, personal best records. And I think Edo is ready.
So beyond the facility just expected, the governor made mention of the finances portion. Is the federal government ready to sponsor? Is the finances ready?
The word is not sponsor. We have spoken about the cost implication of postponements, and I said it, whether it's a sporting event, even if it's a wedding or your birthday party, once you postpone, there are cost implications. More so when it's just a massive event that we've planned. It's taken almost 2 years to prepare for this. We have written, like I said, financial support will come from federal government. The processes are taking place because there are processes that must go through. And we hope that all of this will come in time, now that we've set a date for it. So we're confident.
Very well, Honorable Minister.
Okay,
Did you, sir?
no.
Several times, and the minister also said quality might probably enable athletes get good qualifying times, set records. But comparing this to probably what you used to have in your days, would this measure up? Could this be gotten anywhere around the world?
Like my Honorable Minister said, and His Excellency said, you can't find anything on the south of Sahara. During my days, yes, we had some good quality facility, but all we knew then was the Lagos National Stadium. But now we are moving into other states so that we can spread the developmental process of our athletes. This right here, if it doesn't produce more than 1,000 athletes per year, because everything you want is here, all the sporting facilities are here. If we don't produce more than 1,000 athletes per year, then we don't know what we're doing. And I know we know what we're doing. That's why the state and the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development decided to put every effort there is to make sure that this facility is world standard.
I'm looking at preparation time too, as an athlete, series of postponement, would it affect them?
Psychologically, yes. But trust me, every athlete wants to compete. if you have the love and passion for sports, if you are woken up at midnight, say there's a competition, impromptu competition, psychologically you will retune and rearrange your thought process. The athletes are ready.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All the athletes, the participants and the officials, both for injuries associated with sports and incidental illnesses that will come along with it. Our basic plan is to constitute medical mobile teams made up of physiotherapists, paramedics and nurses, and in some cases doctors, specialist doctors. For example, for swimming, we tend to get anesthetists, trained anesthetists who will be there to make sure that there is no incident of drowning or near drowning. For high contact sports like boxing, judo, taekwondo, we are going to get surgeons, both those in training and well-qualified surgeons, who whenever there is any cut, injuries, head concussions, head injury, they are right there on ground. But for most of the field events, for a paramedic with a physiotherapist and a nurse, or a nurse will be there to take it. They all come with their own ambulances and mobile bags, well-kitted bags. Then we also made arrangements, you saw them just now, for mobile carts. Now, our basic plan is going to be depending on high mobility. We are deploying ambulances across the different event centers so that anything cannot manage somewhere here, we move there straight to the teaching hospital. And the pharmaceutical protocol. For COVID, of course, we are going to set up wash stations and distribute hand sanitizers. We've already set up some already. Hand sanitizers and ensure we just go around and ensure. But that would be under the public health interventions. We will do that.
I know you have RDC.
Yes, that's cool. So we test, okay, yeah. We will need to do intermittent testing even in the hostels of the athletes to see how which one to isolate or not if need be.
Also recall the ATF said they were going to assist.
The days are ahead. That doesn't make sense.
If we were going to the states and the
By this weekend,
But not the same one that somebody they call say
we are bringing it.
How many teams do you have here? How many people so far?
No, your Excellency, we have got it to our age. They said they will be here tomorrow. It has got it to our age. You want to do your own? Ah, sure. I don't think it's trying to maintain it fairly. It's an 18 golf course, but some holes we play them twice. We already have a facility for COVID-19 yes, that's a different question. This is the electronic stuff. While you are playing in any old car, people can even see your score when you are playing.
And also cameras.
Some other to say that cameras around the golf.
So you can be watching them.
Yes. So if there's any issue, you can actually zoom if you are preferring to know the length of the